And Tom Shell.
Yeah.
Did Teddy Campbell come out of your block?
No, he used to play with Intercession, but he wound up playing with the Cavaliers also.
Well,
because he won so many games, everybody like to be associated with winners.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dave Thornton, the True Black Man. The True Black Man Productions on location here in Harlem off of 125th Street and Lenox Avenue. You just saw a great clip of some of the greatest basketball players that played back in Harlem back in the day, probably starting around the early 60s, maybe the late 60s, early 70s. Candy LaPrince, Dr. J, Richard Pee Wee Kirkland, Joe Hammond, the Destroyer. In case you didn't know, now you know. I'm about to inform you. About 3 months ago, I started a podcast show called That's My Story. I woke up one morning and reflected on all of the games that I played. I started at the age of 12. I stopped at the age of 55. I played 42 years, and I love this game. And then I started reflecting on all of the guys that I played with and all of the guys that I played against. And that made me say to myself, hey man, you got a hell of a story. Imagine all of the guys that you played with and you played against, they got a story as well. So what I did was I put together this podcast show called That's My Story. What I'm enabling individuals to do to play this game here in Harlem, Bronx, Brooklyn, and we'll throw Staten Island in there. They could come on the show, chop it up with the True Black Man, talk about days gone by, tell a few lies, and let them tell their story. As I stated, I started with Riverside Church. Who'd you start with? Herman Harrell, a.k.a. Jelly Roll, Resurrection, Butch Lee, Ronnie Wright, Artie Green, baby, V.J. Moore, Norm Scullard, Larry Parker, Darryl Davis, who was a beast up there with them Resurrection boys. Or did you start with Stan Brown and the Cavaliers, Lindbergh, Cheese Johnson, Mosley, Darryl T. Downey, and the list goes on and on. Teddy Campbell came over there from Intercession, played with Stan Brown and the Cavaliers, because as Cheese stated prior to this coming on, everybody loved playing with a winner. Teddy Campbell was a bad boy way before his time. May he rest in peace. Yeah, Brandeis Braves, baby. In any event, I don't want to digress. So you start down there with Leroy Otis at Church of the Masters, 122nd and Morningside. I grew up in grand houses, as you can see the poster behind me. Growing up Harlem, General Grand Houses. Leroy Otis was 3 blocks away, 122nd and Morningside, that Church of the Masters program. Sylvester Hart, Pop, Little Guy, Gabriel, Tank Barnes, who eventually started Real Harlem Basketball, which is a Hall of Fame for all of the guys that played in Harlem. That's right, still giving back to our youth. Down there in Washington, Philadelphia, I'm not sure exactly where he's at, but I know Marcelo Cartagena, who was a childhood friend of mine, that grew up in Grand Projects along with his brother Mike Martinez. Yeah, Church of the Masters, baby. Did you start up there with Intercession with Mr. Black? Or Joe Hammond, the Destroyer, Pee Wee Kirkland, Evander Ford. Yeah, Roger Buster Bryant with that Milbank program, where they had all of the best. Candy LaPrince, babies. Ed Sundance Davis. My man Corky started with them as well. Later on, he played with the Puerto Rican All-Stars, which is a good segue. Did you start over there with them Hispanic boys with Santos Negron and St. Edwards? Cesar, Panchito, Robert Ortez, the Elevator Man. All that boys up out the gym. I don't think Wes Carrera started with St. Edwards, but I do know he played with him later on with the Puerto Rican All-Stars. And my man from Grand Project 75 on the side street, Raymond Delmar, who was a Michael Jordan down there in that Puerto Rican league. So my question to you is that, how old were you the first time you played under the whistle? And with what organizations you played with? And I always get a chuckle out of the $64,000 question. What was the first pair of sneakers you played in as a kid? Chuck Taylor's, Converse. If your sneakers slip and slide, you better get the ones with the star on the side. If you had a little money, you had some Voights, Spaldings. That's right. And if you didn't have any money, you started up with Beta Bullets. My first pair of sneakers was called Mr. Sneakers. Don't ask me why. My father went to Alexander's. He didn't know nothing about no Converse. We went up there to Alexander's, bought anything off the table for $1.99, brought them back. I woke up the next morning, the box by the bed. I thought I had me a pair of Converse because I had asked my mother to see if Dad could buy me a pair of Chuck Taylor's Converse. She went to him. She said, the boy wants something called Converse. My father didn't know anything about that. My father was just like a lot of African-American black fathers. They was more into the Negro Leagues. Yeah, he didn't know too much about basketball, but he did his best, you know. He brought it back. I opened up. He put the box by my bed. I woke up that morning. I thought I had me a pair of Chuck Taylor Converse. I opened up the box, and it was high tops. And on the side, it had a logo called Mr. Sneakers. That's all right. You know, it kind of hit me. You know, I said I was going to go out there. Everybody got Chuck Taylors. I got on a pair of Mr. Sneakers. But my father was a gospel performer. And what I did was I went in his bedroom. I went in his drawer, got a pair of his dress socks, put them on with them Chuck Taylors. Went over to our local court, which was PS 125, and I did work at the age of 11, 12 years old. I didn't worry about what they was. I got a chance to play the game, and as I went on, I excelled in the game. So, you know, it's all good. It's all good, you know. So, as I digress, I always go back to that, and I ask guys, where did they start? What was the first team they played with under the whistle? What organization were they with? You know, and it always brings a chuckle to me, and it always makes me feel great that I see a lot of players like Butch Lee, Artie Green, my man Carlton Green, who I played with in the Pro Rookie 1984 under the banner of Uptown Chamber of Commerce. This is Dave Thornton, the True Black Man Productions, on location here in Harlem off of 125th Street. Yeah, I love this game, but as I stated, this is going to be a show where we're going to have many topics of discussions. We're not going to just talk about basketball. We're going to talk about civil rights. We're going to talk about mentorship. We're going to talk about life after basketball, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about fashion. I love fashion. And if you didn't know now, I'm going to inform you. I didn't play high school basketball for the first 3 years. I went to fashion high school, Fashion Industries High School, and then Floyd Lane and Alan Lorick, after seeing me play at Riverside Church after practice, they came over to me, asked me why they never saw me in the paper. They saw Butch Lee, they saw Carlton Green, they saw Anthony Price, they saw Ricky Free. This was my age group. You know, Ricky Free was at Boys and Girls. Butch Lee was at DeWitt Clinton. Carlton Green was at George Washington. And the list goes on and on. My man Lindbergh Cheese Johnson, he was at Harron. I went up against all of these guys. And the fact of the matter is, they was in this paper. They was listed as, you know, all city, all American. So Floyd Lane asked me, he said, why we never see you in the paper? I said, well, I'm not playing high school basketball. And, you know, it kind of rubbed him the wrong way, and they was like shocked because of the fact that they knew I had the talent to go to college and have a very good college career, you know, get a scholarship, and then on top of that, you have the opportunity to get a college degree. So Floyd Lane, Alan Lorick, who was my mentor, he was a little older than me. They played for the Scenes in Riverside. And Joe Lewis and Ronnie Thomas basically came out of Manhattanville Projects, which was right up the street from Grant Projects. And they strongly suggested that I transfer and go to Louis D. Brandeis High School, which is a good segue because of the fact that I always talk about William Hines as my number one mentor who taught me a lot, not just with basketball, but he taught me about life. And he was very instrumental in my life as a teenager. And then my second mentor, who I give a lot of credit to, was the great legendary Earl Manigault. He used to sit down there at 118th Street, Morningside Park, which is the original Goat Park. He used to talk to me about staying away from drugs. And, you could play with drug dealers, but don't take anything from them, which I listened and I thought it was valuable advice at that time. But when I went to Louis D. Brandeis, I was fortunate enough to have Coach Jimmy Warren in my life. And he became my mentor essentially while I was in high school and then thereafter. We still get together today. He just turned 80 years old. He lives up there in Suffern, New York. And it's a good segue because the Brandeis Braves consisted of Larry Jones, the point guard, Norm Scalar, who made All City. I only played 1 year at Brandeis, and then next year, all these guys came back. Norm Scalar, Lamar Dyson, Mikey Martinez, Teddy Campbell, my man Hilton Graham, The Answer, Alan Spriggan. They had a crew, man. And that year, Norm Scalar made All City, but the team that I was with was Larry Jones, Norm Scalar, Lamar Dyson, Hector Baez, Greg Kuntz, Lou Brown, Pucky, Laramie, and the list goes on. And of course, I can't forget my man Mark Chico Thompson, baby. Mark Chico Thompson. It's a Harlem thing. Don't ask me why, but that was the crew. We went 17-4, but unfortunately, at the end of the season, due to the fact that I was a few months too old, PSAL did a sweep in all of the high schools, and they found out that not only Brandeis, that I was too old. They found out that a couple of the brothers on Franklin was too old, and I wonder it was another team. I can't remember who it was that got disqualified as well. And off the top of my head, I think it could have been Hughes, but I'm not sure. In any event, I digressed a little bit, but I just want to make it be known and give a lot of recognition to Coach Jimmy Warren. It was his first year. He was involved in our personal development, not just for basketball, but still today, he doesn't give us advice and all of that, but we still get together every summer. He gives a cookout up in Suffern, New York, with his beautiful wife, Maryland. They invite all of the players up to play it under Jimmy Warren. We go up there, we chop it up, tell a few lies, talk about days going by. And recently, I'd say within the last 3 to 4 months, his wife gave him a surprise 80th birthday party, and we all met up there. We had a great time. It was a fabulous and an epic event. So, I get to digress and I'll be all over the place, but I had a great career. Like I said, we're going to have many topics of discussion. That fashion world, I started out at Fashion Industries High School, and anything that came with Milan and Paris, I was with it. But unfortunately, it got sidetracked because my basketball talents increased, and therefore I transferred to Brandeis. And then from there, I went on to it was a long story how I got to college, but I didn't have anywhere to go after that 1 year. Coach got me an offer to go to Marymount College, which is in Salina, Kansas, and they came in from Kansas. They talked to me, Coach, and their representatives went to lunch, and then all they was talking about was Salina, Kansas. I said, Coach, I ain't never been out of Harlem, so I turned it down. I didn't have anywhere to go, so I just went to work for a little while. Then while playing with Riverside, I decided to, after 8 months, Ernie Leutsch tried to send me to Wheeling College in Wheeling, West Virginia. I went out there for the summer. I was supposed to stay 3 months. I only stayed 2. And then I got up out of there and had no money to get back to Harlem. So when the center that played for Wheeling College, he was out there going to summer school. He lived in Randallstown. And what happened was I asked him if he got me to Randallstown. I said I have a sister in Baltimore, and I'll ask my brother-in-law, Thurman McGilvery, to come pick me up. And, and it happened. So my brother-in-law, not only did he come pick me up, he drove me all the way back to Harlem. And as I got out the car to go into my building, which was 1315 Amsterdam Avenue off of 125th Street in Amsterdam, as I'm going in the building, I ran into a guy that knew me, and he said, "Pa, is that you?" His name was Jeff Richards. He had a street, he was in the game, and I think he had a brother. They called themselves Flame and King. So he saw me. He said, "Look, man, I got a game down at the GOAT tonight at 6 o'clock. Why don't you come on down 118th Street on Morningside? I got a shirt for you, man. Come on down. I could use you." So I went down there, hit him. I hooked up with Ronnie Ryer, who was the younger brother of Roddy Ryer at Douglas Projects, and I hit him for 42 points. Yeah, said my goodbyes to everybody, walked out the park. I come back uptown, I'm going in my building once again. And the same thing happened, but a different person. As I'm going in the building, God stopped me. He said, "Yo, man, I just saw you do your thing down at 118th Street in Morningside at the GOAT Park." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Where you going to school, man?" I said, "Well, look, man, I just got back from Wheeling, West Virginia this afternoon, but, I'm about to give up on this college thing, this whole basketball thing. Just give me a job and become a star in the ghetto." He said, "Man, you got to be crazy, man." He said, "You got a lot of talent in the world." He asked me, he said, "You want to go to Texas?" I said, "When the plane leave?" And as you all know, this was around maybe July or something, and it was late. But he hooked it up. I got down to Cook County Junior College in Gainesville, Texas. That's right. My first year as a freshman, I did work. I took no prisoners because it was a long struggle getting in. I was going to make the best of it, not just for basketball, but I concentrated on my academics as well. So that first year, when I get down there, McLennan Junior College is Vinnie Johnson, the microwave. And on the other side of him from Brooklyn is the son of Sam, called Sam. His name is Sam Worthen. Bad boys out of Brooklyn, boy. And after my freshman year, Vinnie Johnson was a sophomore, but he got the highest votes for first team all conference, and I got the second highest behind him. Sam Worthen was on that first team all conference team as well. But I always think about that moment because it was very important, a moment in my basketball career, 42 years, and I always reflect on the fact that I got the second highest votes behind Vinnie Johnson for first team all conference. And I hold that very dear to my heart. So Vinnie left McLennan Junior College, which is in Waco, and he actually went to Baylor. And I never could understand why Vinnie chose Baylor because of the fact that he did work during that first year, and then he chose Baylor. And as you well know, when he chose Baylor and went there, he led the nation in scoring. But I always was wondering why did he choose Baylor? It's because of the fact that Baylor was in Waco as well, and after his career, after he did his thing in McLennan, he just stayed there, led the nation in scoring. Then myself, I came back to Cook County Junior College, which is located in Gainesville, Texas, 58 miles outside of Dallas. And Sam Worthen came back to McLennan. The second year, we both made first team all conference again, and we played them, McLennan, in the conference championship, and we beat them. We went 24-9, 24-10 that year. We was ranked 8th in the nation at one time. And then, after I left there, I had signed a letter of intent to go to Georgia, not knowing that Dominique Wilkins was coming there the next year after me. I didn't know that, and eventually I learned that. But I went home, started working with my father down in the garment center just to have some money, and staying with them, living with my parents. And then what happened was, say around the end of July, Georgia contacted me and said they couldn't honor the letter of intent because I didn't graduate from Cook County Junior College, which I didn't. What happened was I failed the first half of American history, and then when I got to Middle Tennessee State University, I took the class, transferred it back, and Cook County sent me my associate's degree. In any event, getting to Middle Tennessee was a long story as well, but I always loved to tell it because of the fact that after I didn't get a chance, an opportunity to go to University of Georgia, what I did was I came back and I went up to the University of Buffalo. I liked it. At that time when I went up there, it was Division I, and it was 25,000 enrollment, 5 hours from home. I didn't have to travel on the plane going all the way back to Texas. And I was going to sign with them. Sam Pelham, who was up there, he showed me around the campus. I liked it, and then when I got back to the office, before I signed with them, because I did like it. He said, "Well, I got to inform you that, University of Buffalo is no longer going to be Division One. They went all the way from Division One to Division Three." And in my mind, and now to reflect back on it, I could have signed with them, but I didn't do all of that work in Texas just to settle for a Division III school. So I told them I'd think about it. I came back home, and when I got back home, I had a lot of friends that went to a college in Jacksonville, Florida called Edward Waters College. And when they went down there, I decided not to go with them, and I went to Cook County Junior College. And about 3-4 of my friends who were at Edward Waters, now it's Edward Waters University, the coach for them, he decided to leave Edward Waters College and go to Langston University, which is in Oklahoma, which I had just left that area. My name was all over that area, so I decided to go with them. It was 4 of us, me, Morris Toomer, Terry Mitchell, and Joey Childs. We went out there. I lasted 10 days. I didn't like it. It wasn't put together. They wasn't talking education. They wasn't talking nothing. And matter of fact, there was a lot of things that went on, but what broke the camel's back is that I flew all the way out there on my dime, and then I get there and they have tryouts. Talking about I got to try out. I went into the gym that day. It was like 200-300 guys in there talking about trying out for the team. I said, I ain't trying out for shit, man. If I'm down, I'm going to fuck home, man. So that's what happened. And then the next morning, I went to take a shower, and I saw all this stuff growing in the shower, man. Then I got out of there, and I went and called my coach, Coach Jimmy Voigt, may he rest in peace. I said, "Coach, man, I'm out here in Langston University, man, in Oklahoma, man. You got to get me out of here." And he made some calls to Austin Peay. I was not really satisfied with that, but I was going to take it. But then he said, "Well, let me call another school." So he called Middle Tennessee State University in Rutherford County, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And what happened basically was they flew me in, Middle Tennessee. They flew me from Oklahoma, worked me out. They liked what they saw. They said, "You got a lot of talent, even though we're looking for a shooting guard, a 2-guard. We could bring you in, and you could, because you got a lot of talent." So they brought me in. They said, when they took me to the office, they said, "Look, what we'll do is we'll give you a full scholarship for your 2 years left of eligibility, and we'll give you flights back and forth to New York, and we'll give you a little money every month for you to take care of your incidentals." And they said, after your 2 years of eligibility up, we'll give you the same deal for you to come back to Tennessee to get your degree. I signed on a dotted line. They flew my ass back to Oklahoma for me to get all my belongings, and then they flew me from Oklahoma back to Middle Tennessee, and the rest was history. And like I said, this is Dave Thornton, the True Black Man of True Black Man Productions, on location here in Harlem off of 125th Street and Lenox Avenue, baby. That's my story. And always remember, I'm ending on this note, always remember that the True Black Man loves you. Take my email, as you can see the email address down there below, True Black Man Productions, Harlem, USA 580 @gmail.com. Then you have my number 646-491-3509. Either or, you take my email address down, you send me your email address, and I'll send you a link to come on the show to chop it up with the True Black Man, tell your story, and talk about days gone by. We're going to tell a few lies fabricated, because like my man Anthony Glover said, basketball is a never-ending story. That was the voice of Harlem. This is Dave Thornton, the True Black Man of True Black Man Productions. And always remember, the True Black Man loves you. Peace.